Hey, what's up, guys? Hopefully, everyone had a great New Year's weekend. Hey, what's up, guys? Give it just a couple more minutes. Let some people jump in here. Can you hear me, Jesse? Hopefully, hopefully you guys can hear me. Awesome, awesome. Hey, guys, what's going on? Yo, what's up, Tommy? We do record these, so I want to be mindful of other people's time. So let's see. What's up, fellas? What's up? I think we got enough to go ahead and get started. So tonight, what I wanted to do, Happy New Year to you, Jesse. Happy New Year, everybody. Hopefully, everyone had a great holiday weekend, and you guys are ready to go full attack mode on the market this week. I realize you guys can't see my screens completely, so I'm going to use this screen on the left here for all of the charting that we'll do tonight, and hopefully you guys are able to see it what I'm looking at. Actually, just while we're here, how about I do this? Let me make it a little bit easier on you guys. Drag this over a little bit, and then you'll be able to see it. FAFO. What's good, Matt? All right, cool. So I think this works now, size-wise. All right, so let's talk about 2022. What happened? All things being considered, I actually think 2022 was a pretty decent year for the amount of rate hikes that the Fed did. When you take into consideration the fact that the Fed hasn't raised rates at this level of intensity, and basically on a slope of this line in a very, very long time, SPY was only down 19% for the year, from top to January 31. Happy New Year, Tank the Frank. Tank the Frank. So with that being said, I think SPY did relatively well in this bear market. When you look at a name like QQQ and all of the tech lovers, QQQ was down over 30%. I think like 34, 35%, something like that on QQQ. So mega tech got absolutely decimated. And let's take a look at QQQ while we're talking through it. Again, for those of you that are joining, I kind of posted the agenda. Basically, what I want to do is go over kind of recap 2022 and what happened. And then I want to jump into some ideas for this week, some price action, look at some different things. And then we will go from there. We'll kind of go into kind of market outlook, I guess, and then kind of give you guys some words of wisdom going into 2023. So this is the chart for QQQ. And this is, basically this is, we got decimated. So 405 was the top on QQQ, but we did start to sell off, going into, I guess, the new year. We kind of made one more push back up here on this weekly candle this time last year. And you see that top, that's what we call a wick there. When we see a big wick on the top, big line on the top of a candle, we call that a top wick, which means it's pretty bearish when you have a top wick at the top of a trend, meaning buyers are getting exhausted and sellers are starting to step in. We can use those wicks even intraday when we're looking at a 5-minute chart, and we'll talk about that in a little bit for those of you that are new. But that's a top wick, right? And so here we saw a big top wick on QQQ, and then from there, it was 401.62 on Qs all the way down, right? And we bottomed at 253.65. And this past week, we actually hit 259.73. So we were in the 250s on Qs. Tech has been absolutely weak, relatively weak, all things being considered, outside of all the other major, economic events that have been happening. Tech has kind of led the way down. We saw names like Netflix sell. We saw names like Meta. We saw Apple hit 52-week lows. We saw Microsoft hit lows. we saw Amazon sell off. We just saw a lot of blue chip tech names just completely sell, which kind of led to this bear market rally on QQQ over the last year in 2022. So Qs were down about 33%. Now on SPY, S&P 500, the SPY ETF, SPY was down. All things being considered, I think SPY did relatively well this year. SPY was only down about 19%. We did touch lows at about 355.65 in 2022, but we made a push back up. We actually even tapped all the way up to 408, almost that 410 level, right? We got 408, and then from 408, we sold all the way back down on that last CPI event, and we hit 374, which is a great short. And again, if you look at this time frame on SPY, you'll see this weekly chart, right? First rejection, second rejection, third rejection, fourth rejection, even fifth rejection here. So this trend line has proved to be very strong on SPY, and that's going to be something from a macro, larger time frame perspective that we need to pay attention to as we're day trading the market going into Q1. This trend line is going to be huge for us, because when we break this trend line, this will be a trend line to look for a retest of and a bounce off of. But until then, right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of rejection off of this trend line. So as I always tell you guys as traders, we're just going to play the trend and play what has been happening, because as traders, we don't know what's going to happen day to day. We can only play what's in front of us, and we use price action and the chart to kind of help guide our decisions and our trades throughout the weeks and months ahead. So again, recap: tech very weak. SPY down 19%. Now, if you look at a name like the Dow Jones, we don't talk about this one as much as far as day trading goes, because we're really only trading. This is the weekly on Dow Jones. We're really only trading SPY and QQQ in the room primarily. But if you look at the Dow Jones, right, we made a high. This was basically January of 2022, 36,952, and we closed at 33,147, right? So we basically ended down 3,000 points on Dow, which is that's pretty good considering the fact, right, that back in September at the end of Q3, we basically bottomed out at about 28.7, right? So almost 10,000 points to the downside on Dow back in September, but we rallied all the way back on the Dow. So with that being said, from a macro perspective, I don't think we're out of the water yet. Dow bounced exactly where I thought it was going to bounce at, but I think Dow makes a move back down. I still think SPY sees more room to the downside. Now, do we see a rally back to 410, 415, 420 before dropping again? I don't know, right? The only thing I can play off of is the trends that we've seen. And so for me, what I think, tech is going to remain, relatively weak going into Q1. We'll have Q4 earnings that are going to start to come out over the next 3 weeks. So we'll be paying attention to those Q4 earnings and what happens there. But, for me, I would look for this trend line to kind of stay intact. So I don't know that we're going to get a move all the way back up to 400. It's possible we could get it in the next 2 weeks. But I think this trend line, right, this is the trend line that I'm going to be playing from a larger time frame perspective, because if you look back at the daily chart, let me show you the daily chart on SPY, right? Back here, when we lost, we gapped up, right? We gapped up on the PMI number. I think it was PMI this day on December 13th. We gapped over the daily downtrend line, fell back down through it. And if you would have just shorted when we lost this trend line and just bought, weekly contracts up here around 400 at like 385, you could see how far we fell, right? We went all the way from 408 basically. When we broke this trend line, the trend line was sitting right at about 405. We broke it and fell all the way down to 378 in 4 days. 4 days time. So those weekly contracts would have really paid. And so that's where I always tell you guys, make sure you have chart awareness. Same thing as a point guard having court awareness. You'll hear me say that over and over and over again. This is what that means. Basically, we always trade to 5, 2 minute, 15 minute, whatever those smaller time frames are, but make sure you guys pay attention to the larger time frames as well and what's happening. You could actually make the argument that this is a kind of a bear flag for me here on the daily with all these, downtrend here and then this consolidation ready for one more, another drop down. We'll get to that in a little bit. But again, wanted to recap 2022, kind of what happened throughout the year, high points, low points, and sorry, SPY's low was actually 346, not 357. 346 was a daily 52-week low on SPY. So that's the recap for 2022. Now I want to talk about some names that I'm going to be watching going into this week for 2023 in the first week of the year. One of them is going to be actually, let's just stay. No, let's go. Let's do something else now. Let's look at Netflix. Netflix is a name that I typically trade really, really well. Now, I called a lotto on Netflix on Friday, lotto puts, because I thought that if we lose that 290 level on Netflix, we were going to see a nice rejection back down, and we got quite the opposite. We got a really, really big end of day rally, which was kind of crazy, actually. Here's the chart we were looking at on Netflix. Let me show you guys what I was looking at on Netflix. And hopefully it makes sense to you guys what I was playing here. And again, this was small size. This was lotto size. So this wasn't a size that, should have hurt anyone because we weren't playing large enough for it to hurt anyone. Like I said, we were sized for these things to go to zero. But nonetheless, let me show you guys what I was looking at here. Okay. Here we go. Now we're in view. All right. So here's Netflix. When we opened on Netflix, we kept getting these big bottom wicks, and I kind of mentioned to you guys in the pre-market huddle on Friday about Netflix that, hey, 285 is a huge spot on Netflix, right? 285 is big, 285.17, wherever this demand zone is, like there are buyers, there's going to be buyers here if we can get over that level, and then if we can't get over, it's going to be a nice, resistance zone as well, and we'll head right back to 275. But I said if we can get over 285, we could make our way back to 292.75 and then 295. Right, that's exactly what I said, and that's those are the levels that I played out on Netflix. By the way, if you're looking to make levels on your own, I think it's going to be in 3 weeks. I'm not sure the date exactly, but if you check the room's calendar, I'm going to be doing, maybe it's 2 weeks from now. I'll have to look, but I'm going to be doing basically a class on building a watch list and finding your levels. So if that's something you guys are interested in, make sure you check the events in the room and mark it as interested, and it will remind you when those events start. So with Netflix, this is a name that I've mentioned over the last couple of weeks and really over the last quarter. Like all of Q4, I kind of mentioned that Netflix really plays well with its levels. So if you're a new trader, this is a really good one to watch because I feel like this name really has been respecting its levels. Sometimes you'll see the more experience you have in the market, some names start to disassociate from their levels and kind of become sloppy. Netflix is one I feel like that really, really respects its levels pretty well. Let's look at a 15-minute chart here, and we'll probably see that even cleaner on Netflix. Yeah, here we go. Right, so same thing happened Thursday on Netflix when we broke through 285. We got 292.76 and we got 295. And I said the same thing on Friday, right? Like if we hold 285 again, we're going to see 292.75 because that's what we went to yesterday, right? These are the levels that I have, and we did it Thursday. On Thursday, we broke 285, then we went to 292.75, then we went to 295. And I mentioned on Friday, hey, if we hold 285, we could see 292.76, and then we could see 295. Well, we got 295 right at close, right? 15 minutes after close, we got 295. 295.45 actually was the high. So just curious, what was the high here? 295.50 on Thursday, and then 295.45. So we actually closed over that. We closed over that level in after hours at 295.63. Now futures bounced basically 3,900. We bounced on futures, and then we started to sell off. So I'll be interested to see where SPY opens up tomorrow morning. But Netflix will be a nice name to play. Now remember, Netflix, if we play it tomorrow, it's Thursday, so we have 4 days to expiration on these contracts. They're not going to move as well as they did from a percentage standpoint on Thursday and Friday when they were 1 day and 0 day expiration. But this is, again, good for beginners because the more time you have, the less volatile the options are going to be. Meaning, if something goes against you, it's not going to go against you as violently as a 0 day or a 1 day expiration would. Likewise, on the flip side, if something is going in your favor, it's not going to flash as strong of a green percentage as what you might see on a 1 day or 0 day. But Netflix, again, is going to be on watch for me going into this week, and I'm watching the 3 levels that I've mentioned to you guys all last week. 285, 292.75, and 295. And I mentioned that if we break 295, 300 will come next, right? So let me show you guys the 4-hour chart here and show you what I'm talking about. Bear with me. I know it's a little choppy to look at here with the after hours and extended hours on. But if we break 295, which I mentioned, the next level to the upside that I'm looking at, we could potentially stop at 298, but more so I'm looking for this 300 psych level, right? I'm going to look for us to test 300. If we break 285.63, let's say we open tomorrow and we pop and then we come down and retest 295.50 basically, 295.50 to 295 area. I'm probably going to go long there, assuming that we hold 295 because weeklies could go. You see what happens when we come down and we've tested these weekly levels before. 4-hour time frames before, right? We popped over, it came down, tested it, popped back up. The next day, we went all the way over 300, and then we sold off in 4 hours, right, at the open. So I'm gonna watch this basically because I think 295.50 is a pretty big bounce spot on Netflix for that 300 move. And then you guys see what happens if we get over 300, right? I mean, we could make a push up here to what do we have up here? 301, 302. But basically what I'm looking for, right, is going to be a move to 310. After 310, then I really am looking for basically 330. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Again, these aren't guaranteed levels. These aren't levels that you should take as single truth here because anything can happen in the markets. But these are the big levels that I'm going to be watching. 285. Let's start at the bottom. 274, 275, 285, 292.76, 295.50, 300. We could put 310 on here. I'll go ahead and mark it with you guys so you can see how I'm doing these levels. Let's drop 310 on here. Really, I'm going to put it at the bottom of these candles, so like 310.81 upside level. And then above that, right, we might make a stop here. We could see the reason I'm looking here, guys, and we'll talk about this during my course, but one of the things I'm showing you guys is we have bottom wicks here. There's buyers, right? They defended this level. Buyers defended this level here. So 318, 319 really. Let's make a level at 319. I just don't want to get the chart too cluttered with levels, but let's make a level there. So upside, if we break 300, we're going to look for 310 first, 319, and then 330. Now those are like $10 increments. So again, take those, with a grain of salt, and these levels are more so meant, I think, these will help us, look at weeklies or bi-weeklies, maybe, even 2 weeks out. This could be like nice swing levels for us to look at. So that's going to be a focus for me. Let's look at the weekly real quick on Netflix. I just want to see, is there a level here? Yeah, I'm getting a lot of levels on here, so sorry for all the levels, but basically on the weekly time frame, if you guys see here, one thing I'm going to start watching on Netflix, do you see how we're putting in, put in a low here, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher low consolidation, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, looking for another higher high here. But what we can do as traders is we can make a trend line, right? And this isn't the cleanest trend line, but you get the picture of what I'm trying to say here. We have a trend line forming on Netflix, an uptrend. And it's slowly riding this uptrend all the way from those local lows basically back when earnings fell and they dropped, right? And I mentioned that we're going to see some sells up here on this 300 area because people that bought here around 162 are now basically doubling their money. They're up 100%, long-term investors. So they're going to take a few off. They're going to secure some profits just like we do in the options game. So this trend line will be something that I'm watching on Netflix because if we break this trend line around one of these key levels, this will give us a lot of confirmation to go short on something, and this could be a really, really nice short swing on Netflix when we break this because this is a strong weekly trend line that we've been putting in all the way since June of this year, right? Basically all the way since we made that low back in May. We've held this trend line. So when we break this and finally make a lower high, that will be a perfect A-plus setup in my mind to take short on Netflix. So that's Netflix. I'll post these charts in the verified floor for you guys. That way you can see them. That way you can have these levels. Let's take a look at SPY next. SPY is one that I haven't played as much, but I think I'm going to start playing because I do like the levels that it's been respecting recently. So let's look at the 1 hour. You guys that have been in the room for a while, you guys know I like this 1 hour chart, this view, because it's really respected the view on the 1 hour. So let's take a look at this and see what we've got. Let me resize this a little bit so we have more view here. That end of day rally on Friday was absolutely crazy. You can see this big green candle here and all that volume that came in, right? 24 million on the last hour on SPY. Everyone getting their last minute positions in right before the calendar changes. All right, so here's SPY. One of the things that I'm looking at on SPY, sorry, let me, just getting the chat back here. That way I can see. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop those in chat. I'll check at the end. I'll check the YouTube chat, and then I'll check the Discord chat as well. Here's the hourly chart on SPY, right? And all the way back from, I think this is the 15th, right? December 15th. We've been in this channel, okay? So, you know, channel, bounce at support, reject in the channel resistance, bounce on the channel support, reject the channel resistance, reject the channel resistance, boom, we broke through it, right? Broke through the channel. And these two levels have been key for me on SPY, 380.40 and 383.15. And you guys have heard me talk about this almost every single day for the last week now, because this is what we've been looking at, right? If we break 380.40, we've got 375 to the downside. If we break 383.15 to the upside, we could potentially get 385, right? Now, we got all the way up to 384.50. We didn't get 385, but I think that's coming next, right? 385 is going to be the next spot to the upside because, again, let me put this on here. I don't want to clog my chart up too much with levels, but I want you guys to be able to see this 385 spot is going to be pretty big, right? Because we rejected 385 here, this back on December 16th. We got a big wick over 385 and the candle body, right? So we opened here. Basically, we opened right around 385, wicked all the way up to 386 in that hour, came all the way back down and closed underneath that 383.15 spot. So 385 is a massive level. Here, we got an hourly candle, right? We started at 383.15. This is on December 21st. Went all the way up to 385 and then popped over it. And once we cleared 385, we actually got to move up to 387.50 back in this channel. Okay, so for me, I knew when we held this level here, 383.15, and then we rejected it here. 383.15 was a big spot. So 383 is a big pivot spot for me. The three main spots, or I guess let's do 5 spots I'm watching on SPY now. Downside watches. If we open tomorrow and we're under 383.14, the first spot I'm looking for us to bounce at is 380.40. If we lose 380.40, I'm looking for a move back down to 375.30 because we can see that we held that, right? That's our last local low, basically, back on December 22nd. We bounced there. So I do expect buyers to be there, but if buyers aren't strong enough and sellers take over, the next spot I'm looking for is 372.50. Now, don't ask me where I got that from, but it's back here somewhere. Oh, this is probably from here. Here we go. We've gotten some rejection here back in October, 372.50. And then we could probably put a level here as well, basically 370. I'll go ahead and add that 370 level with you guys. Actually, let's move that up a little bit. I like to do candle bodies. So 371 basically. Okay. Scroll back over here. I'm on the hourly chart on SPY without the extended hours on, if you guys are wondering why it might look a little bit different than what your SPY chart looks like. Now, if we open tomorrow and we pop over 383.14, futures did open at 3,900, but we did gap down, I think. We'll need to check with the futures channel to see where we're at on ES. But if we do open and hold 383.14, I'd look for a push up and I'd look for us to hold it. So let's say we open below, right? 382.75 tomorrow on SPY. And we push over 383.14. Immediately what I'm looking for is a retest. I'm looking for us to, right here, right? In the hourly chart, we broke over. The next hour we retested. The next hour we went from 383.14 all the way up to 384.40 in the hour. So over $1 move in 1 hour on 0 days, that probably paid pretty well, right? Or even on weeklies, $1 move in an hour, that's pretty good. So that's what I'm going to look for. I'm looking for a break of these levels and a confirmation retest. What a lot of people do and a lot of people struggle with is they buy the breakout, right? They'll buy as soon as we break over a level, they'll buy it. And why don't we do that? Because of this right here. Let's say this is a 5-minute chart. We are looking at the hourly, but this is a 5-minute chart. If we break over this on the 5-minute and we get this wick here, if we buy here, we're going to get stopped out because this was a fake wick, right? They took it over the level and then they sold it off at that level. Buyers just weren't strong enough over 385 that day for whatever reason. So what I want you guys to focus on in 2023 is being patient. You hear me say 10% buying, 10% selling, 80% waiting, right? We're waiting for these key levels to hit. And when these key levels hit, we're going to be patient and wait for a retest. It's hard because I've been in your shoes. I've been in my own shoes when I see it. We break through a key level. Like here's a good example, right? We break through this level. We break through 380.40. We never really get a retest on the hourly. We come down. Let's say this is a 5-minute chart. On the 5-minute, we probably did get a retest, but on the hourly time frame, we never did, right? We came down. We break through 380.40. The next candle opens basically at 379.49, and we pop up to 379.81. Now we could have bought at 379.81, but we really never got a true retest on the hourly time frame of this 380.40 level that we have marked. And in that case, it's hard, right? Because we break through it, you see it drop more, and you're like, man, if I would have just bought when it first broke through that. But as traders, that's why we have strategies, that's why we have systems in place. And the one thing I want you guys to focus on in 2023 is becoming professional risk managers. If you can become a professional risk manager, you'll have your most profitable year trading yet. I guarantee you. Hands down. That's my bold prediction for 2023. If you guys can learn to become professional risk managers, you will likely have your most profitable year trading. Because like I tell you guys, trading isn't about how much you can make. It's not about the 100% gains, the 200, 300, 500, 400, whatever. We're going to get those. We'll get those every single week. I'm not going to guarantee that because I'm not in that business. But if you look at our track record, we typically will have 100, 200, 300, 400, even 3,000% gains on BA, right? We're going to get crazy news plays. We're going to have all those. So I'm not worried about hitting the green trades because I know the green trades are going to come. As options traders, what we have to start focusing on is how are we going to lose when the trade doesn't go our way. And I get it. It's hard. When you're on a cash account, let's say you only have $1,000 in your account and you're putting $250 into each play, right? And let's say you have 2 plays, right? You put $250 in and it hits your stop loss. Or let's say you put simpler terms. Let's say $200 and it hits your stop loss at 20%. So, and you do it after 2 times. So first trade, $200, stop loss hit 20%, you're down $40. Second trade, $200 in, stop loss 20%, you're out $40. So now, right, 2 trades into the day, you're down $80 on your account, and you have $1,000 account. So now your account's sitting at $920. The next trade you take, you put $200 in, right? You're going to keep it consistent. Let's say $200 again. $200 go in, you're down 20%, but you're like, man, I'm down, but I only have, basically $600 more to play with because I'm on a cash account and I can only use my settled funds. So instead of selling at 20%, let me just hold it and hope that it goes back. We have to get out of that habit of holding and hoping. I promise you guys, if you sell and you don't have any cash left to buy anything, I promise you we will be back here the very next day at market open to trade some more. Like, just because you don't have cash available or because you're scared of missing out on a play, just respect your stop losses. And if you can't respect your stop losses from a mental standpoint, please put in a hard stop. I don't always recommend hard stops, but if you guys are at a point where you can't psychologically get yourself to sell out of a position at a predetermined stop limit from a mental stop perspective, please set in a stop loss, a hard stop. You will thank yourself 1,000 times over. Because think about this, if you're down 50%, you buy a contract at $1, right? $100 per contract, and it goes down 50% because you're holding on hopium. Now it's sitting at $50. You're down 50%. In order for that contract value to even get back to your break-even point for you to get out of it, it has to go 100%. I'm not saying it's unlikely, because options contracts go multiple hundreds of percent, thousands of percentages, each day. Options are all about timing, right? Getting in at the right time, getting out at the right time is even more important. Don't try and hold on hopium. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the stress. It's not worth the mental headache. I'd much rather stick to my set of rules, because at the end of the day, when I have red days, if I stick to my rules, I'm okay. Just like the casino, I tell you guys this all the time too. Just like the casino's okay if they have a red day at the tables. If some gambler comes in and wipes them out for 150 grand, they're okay with that. Why? Because they have rules, they have a strategy, and they know that over the long run, they're going to make more money than that gambler's going to make. The gambler's going to come in and lose his money. He might have 1 or 2 good days, but the casino's going to win. And so, does it sting a little bit? Yeah, it stings. No one likes to lose 150 grand in a night. The casinos don't like that. If you have a $10,000 portfolio, no one likes to lose 5% of their portfolio in a day, right, or whatever that percentage is. But if you're sticking to your rules, you should be okay from a psychological standpoint. You enter trading knowing that losing is part of it, right? Everyone here knows that losing is part of trading. When you learn how to lose, that's when you become a profitable trader. The options traders that blow up their accounts are the ones that never figured out how to lose. They might win. You see those people, right? You see those people run an account up from 5K to 50K to 80K to 90K, and then in one day their account's back to zero. Right? And that's because they don't know how to lose. People get greedy with options. Options move very quickly. You can make a lot of money in options, and you can lose a lot of money in options if you're not careful. So that's why I always preach risk management, and I preach learn how to lose. When you learn how to lose and you become a professional risk manager, you'll have your best year from a profitability standpoint in trading. That's my bold prediction for 2023. And I want you guys to really focus on that this year. So at the end of the day, if you're red, it's okay. You're going to have red days. Wall Street has red days. Goldman Sachs has red days. Wall Street actually had a red year. Wall Street was down 19% this year on S&P 500, right? QQQ was down 33%. So they had red years. You're going to be red on days. The key is to keep your losses small, right? Don't let your losses go big. Keep your wins small and keep your wins big. If you do those 3 things, win big, win small, lose small, you are a professional risk manager. When you start letting positions go, like I saw some of you guys do last week, and do you guys think this will pop? Do you think it'll go? I hope it goes back up. That's a horrible place to be, and I hate being in a place of hopium because you have no control over anything. Now you're just hoping. Now you're holding something like, well, I might as well just let it go to zero because I held it too long. Think about if Darth was behind you while you were trading, watching you trade. Would you hold in hopium or would you cut and follow your rules, right? Think about if you're the trader that you look up to most, a professional trader who does really, really well for himself. Whoever you look up to, if they were standing behind you, is that something you should be doing, right? Probably not. So stick to your rules this year. Win big, win small, lose small, and you guys will be just fine. One of the things, candidly, I need to work on that too. That's one of the things I want to get better at my losses. I want to make sure my losses are smaller because that's opportunity cost for me going into the next trade, right? If you lose on trade 1 and you don't stick to your rules, that's money that I now can't use on trade 2 because I got greedy or because I held on hopium or whatever the case may be. So, little pep talk. I kind of went around on the agenda a little bit, but that's kind of my pep talk going into 2023 is, win big, win small, lose small, but I want you guys to be professional risk managers going into 2023. Nothing will make me happier than if you guys do that. If you have a red day this week and you say, it's okay, I had a red day, I stuck to my rules, I didn't lose a lot, so I'm ready to go tomorrow, I'll be super happy. I'm not going to be happy that you had a red day, I'm just going to be happy that you stuck to your rules. Always try and trade today like you want to trade tomorrow. What I mean by that is trade today like it's the last money that you have. Are you going to want to blow up your account today if you had no more money to fund it? No. And for you guys that are new, don't put a lot of money into an options account. Please, please, please don't do that, especially if you're new. The chances of you guys blowing up your account are very, very high from a new trader perspective if you're brand new. Now, I think what we preach here in Moneyline is that, we're not going to let you blow up your account because we're trying to preach this whole risk management aspect to it. But with options, you don't need a lot to make a lot. So when you're learning, please don't go take out, $10,000, $20,000, $40,000 and put that into your options account. If you have a ton of excess money, then by all means, please do it. But for those of you that don't, and even if you do, I wouldn't recommend that because you guys are learning. And I want you to, when you're learning, it should hurt when you lose money. But it shouldn't be like, oh man, that was my whole savings account, right? That was my whole life savings for my family. I don't want to see anybody in that situation because I've gotten some DMs from people that say, they're down. I've got a DM from someone that said they were down 7 figures on the year and they needed help. I want to help you guys as much as I can, but I can only give you the tools to succeed. At the end of the day, it's up to you guys to click the buy and sell button, right? You guys can do this. I'm confident in every single one of you. I know you can do it. I've seen the way you guys chart. I've seen the way you guys ask questions, and I've seen the way that you analyze and you look at these charts. At the end of the day, it's up to you to buy and sell and manage your risk, basically. And that's where I say if you can become a professional risk manager, you guys will be very, 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 very profitable in 2023. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want. You know, if we throw a big meetup party at the end of 2023, I want all of you guys to be able to come to it without saying, hey, I blew up my options account and I can't afford to travel out to meet you guys. So little joke there, but it's I'm being serious, you know, lighthearted but serious here, guys. I want you all to succeed. So if you're new to starting options, please don't play very heavy. Please play with a smaller account size, because I'd rather you end the month having to put, you know, $1,000 to $2,000 back in your account than ending the month down $10, $15, $20,000 and wondering, you know, what happened? How did I lose $20,000 in 30 days or less? Yeah, Trevor. Hopium. Exactly. Yeah, hopium. It's really strange. Now I'll talk about this for a second, because I was there when I was, you know, newer trading. I was there. One time I held on hopium. I was down 80%, and it came back and it went like 40% green. One time. Notice how I said once, right? Never happened again after that. Hopium's hard. A lot of people have a hard time selling. I don't know what the psychology is behind it. Maybe Darth can talk about it, but when people see red, a lot of people have a hard time selling because they get stuck in this mindset of like, what if it comes back? What if, what if, what if? It's very, very hard. And that's why I say you guys have to be programmed like robots. You know, you have to be programmed like robots because you have to be able to cut trades when they're not going, you know, for you. And that's a byproduct of you following the rules and strategy that you put out. And again, let's link this back to the casino. If the casino starts losing money because that gambler is running up the table, are they going to change and say, oh, well, you know, for blackjack, a dealer's not going to hit on a soft 17 now. We're going to stand on soft 17. Or we're going to cap your maximum bet now at this rate. No, typically that's not how it works. Again, because the casinos know that the statistics work. Their strategy is proven to win. Even though they have a small percentage advantage over the player, the casinos make billions upon billions of dollars every single year. That's what keeps you guys going back to the tables, right? Because they're going to make a little, you're going to make a little bit, but you're probably going to lose over the long run. It's the greed going back to the table. You know, you run up a table on blackjack, first 20 minutes you make a couple $1,000, and you can't get up and leave because you're greedy, right? I made $1,000 in 20 minutes. Think about this from a trading perspective too. If we go into tomorrow in the first 30 minutes and someone goes up $1,000, how much did you make per hour, right? You just made $2,000 in an hour, essentially. If we basically convert that 30-minute gain to an hourly gain, where else can you make $2,000 an hour sitting at your computer? Start thinking about things from an hourly perspective too. For those of you that have smaller accounts, those of you that are working, let's say you're making, you know, $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour, whatever your hourly wage is. If you triple your hourly wage in an hour, like what are you still doing at the computer? Compound your gains. I know it's hard because you're like, well, the day just started. You know, we're an hour into the day. Seriously, compound your gains. You'd be surprised if you take a $10,000 portfolio and you do 5% on your portfolio every single day in 2023 because there's 250 trading days, you're sitting on $1.9 billion. I'm not saying full port your portfolio every single play. I'm just saying if you can consistently gain 5% on your portfolio every single day, it's $1.9 billion at the end of the year, which is mind-blowing to me. Absolutely mind-blowing. And that's why I'm telling you guys to manage your losses. If you manage your losses, I promise you, you'll make so much money in 2023. You'll do so much better in 2023 than you did in 2022 if you struggled. And that's what I want everyone to do ultimately. So, all right, let's take a look at another name now. This is a name, I did cut this swing. The swing didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. We got, you know, big volume. I was using this 118 level as my risk, and we just, you know, we basically weren't able to reject there. So now what I'm looking for on Meta, these levels are still pretty clean. This is the hourly chart on Meta. Let's go ahead and top off our local highs on Meta. And again, for those of you guys that are just tuning in, I'm going to be doing a class on how to build a watch list, how to build levels. Meta is an interesting name to me from an hourly perspective. This is another name that has, you know, respected its levels fairly well, right? So this 118.75, typically when we break it, we see a move back to 120.46. When we break 120.46, we typically see a move back to 123.22, right? And then high on this is basically 125. So you guys see here, right? Hourly rejection 123. Basically, we fell down. We actually went under. We came all the way down from an hourly perspective. Reject 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour. And 4 hours after we rejected 123.22, we revisited the 118.75. We bounced from 118.75 all the way back up to 123.22, made a tweezer top all the way up here, basically at 124. This is a name that has played these levels really, 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 really well. So, with that being said, I don't want to short Meta again until we break this trend. So you guys see this trend here. Let me redo my trend line. Okay, I'm going to keep this trend on my chart. This is the hourly. I don't want to short it now until we break this. I might front load maybe a little bit if the market starts to pull. But from a larger time frame perspective, I don't want to short Meta until we break this. Now, if we do get up here and we do reject this 125 area again, I might short Meta, right? It might be a really nice short. Because every time we approach this, right, from an hourly perspective, yeah, we're on the hourly chart. We came up here, basically tapped 124.14, and then in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, we came all the way down to 114. So this is going to be a key spot that I watch up here, basically the 124 to 125 spot. I'm going to go ahead and set a price alert, guys, on this. Basically what I want to do is set an alert. Let's do right click, create an alert at 123.36. You can see all my price alerts I have on Netflix. Or sorry, Meta. Let's do price above 123.10 is what I'll set it at. And I'm just going to delete these other ones so I don't confuse myself. Again, we'll talk about this in the class that I do, building a watch list, building levels. But I'm interested in Meta if we can break over this spot, right? I'm going to watch it open tomorrow because if we pop and we hold 120.46, this is a name that could move on weeklies back to this 123 spot. And if we break 123, I think we'll get a test up here around this 124 to 124.67 spot. And we could push, but if we reject, then I think it's right back down to 118. Oh, Sean, what point do you set the alert? For example, 10 cents, 25 cents from price. I'm really just interested in a move over this. I'm going to watch this tomorrow, so that's why I don't have like a price alert set around the 120 spot. But if I move this off my screen and I want to watch something else, I want Webull to tell me, right, when Meta is basically coming up over this level here, which I have charted as 123.22. I want to know when we break that level. So basically I set my price alert at 123.10. So that way I know it's on watch. When that alert goes off, I'm going to pull Meta up and I'll be like, oh, okay, I see why I'm watching it because that 123.22 spot's pretty key. So that's basically how I set it. The Meta weekly looks nice. Let's take a look. Yeah, Meta weekly does, I mean, for sure. It looks beaten down. 384 all the way down to 88 bucks. But key spot, right? You guys see this top level here, this 125, why that's key. If we reject 125 again, you know, we could fall back over all the way down. But so far we are setting up a nice little uptrend here, which is why I said this trend here, I have it on the hourly, right? But if you look on the weekly, I wonder what the daily looks like on that trend. Might have been just a little bit early on the Meta swing. Don't worry though, we'll hit it whenever it breaks this trend, just like Nvidia. Remember when Nvidia broke that trend? Those contracts went 800% on that swing, and still have time if you held the contracts. But that was a really nice swing. We'll get another one of those. So yeah, that's what I'm watching here. You guys see why this is a big level because this is kind of approaching that gap territory area. If we break and hold 125. We'll make a nice move back to 130 on Meta, potentially 134 all the way back up, you know, maybe up in this area here to 140. But 125 is going to be key on Meta. 124 to 125, that's where we rejected Basically, these 2 days we rejected that. This day we rejected it. This day we rejected it. So if history repeats itself and the markets pull, this would be a nice spot. Now, if markets push and SPY gets over 385, Meta is a really nice clean mover over 125. So we'll keep that on we'll keep that on watch. But for sure, Meta does look like it could potentially be flagging on the weekly. So we will watch for a breakout of that on a weekly time frame. You're right, Serious Profit. If we do get that breakout, let's just go ahead and draw that flag to see what it looks like. I'll show you guys. Let's put this line in here and I'll show you. So basically, right, if we break, here's what we're watching on the weekly time frame. So this week could be a relatively range bound week. Could be small. If we're going to coil under this weekly, and then we could get a big move up or down. This will be a good. Meta is on watch for me, guys. This is a top watch for me for a break out of this flag or a breakdown. If we break down, right, I think we see that 108 first, then we come down to the 100 psych level. Then we could potentially see new lows at 88. So good eye on the flag there, Serious Profit. I really like that. Like I said, I'm watching for this flag. I'm watching for the downtrend to break, which now looks like a flag. So we'll call it a flag. So we either flag up or we flag down. We'll find which one it does and we'll play. But make sure you guys keep that on watch. Last name I want to share with you guys this evening is Apple. This is an interesting name because of all the put flow that we saw come into this name at the end of last week. Now, I didn't expect to get an end of day rally like we did, which is why I don't know if we should trust this hammer candle, but we did see $16 million in January beginning of February puts come in on Apple. Henry, I went over Netflix. I will post the Netflix levels, but TLDR on Netflix is that it's moving really well throughout its levels. I don't know which way it's going to go, but it's been respecting its levels really well. So downside 275, upside is 285, 290, 276, 295, 50, 300, 310, 320, 330. But you could rewatch this video when this is done as well, and you can check it out. This kind of scares me on Apple, seeing this big hammer in this demand zone. This is demand here, right? You saw what happened when we bounced in demand. We made a push all the way back up to basically 180, right? We came all the way up here to, 175. Kind of like the 180 spot. Now, there is a lot of bearish sentiment coming on Apple. Puts were huge. China disruption, the factory disruptions, that's going on as well with manufacturing. So that being said, Apple could see another leg down, but price action on the weekly tells me that buyers bought this dip up, knowing though that the majority of these buyers came at the end of the day on Friday. And once this 4-hour chart loads, I'll show you guys. See, a lot of these buyers came in on Friday, right? Now we did push up. We did push here on the 29th on Thursday. But the big moves basically came. We got the big wick from that end of day buyer. If we wouldn't have got this end of day buyer on the 4-hour, we would have closed basically around that 128 spots. We would have been in this demand still. But markets pushed at the end of the day. I think that's kind of a fake bull push on Apple based on the put flow. But again, we need to let price action tell us which way we're going to go. I don't know, and I can't predict that. We can just basically what we can do is play, the chart and what's happened in the past. So if we do get a push back up on Apple, from a macro perspective, the first spot I'm looking at is 155. If Apple starts to push, we could potentially swing calls, right? We could swing calls back up here, and then we could make a push back to 178. With that being said, like I said, the put flow came in pretty heavy. I don't know which way we're going to go, but if we lose the 52-week low, next spot on Apple that I think we bounce at is about the 122 spot. Then I think we get 115. Okay, and I think 115, 115. Then really what I'm looking for, is really a move all the way back down here to about this 100 spot on Apple. It's not that far off. Tesla, look at Tesla and where Tesla went. That's one that has moved down a lot as well. I don't trade Apple daily. This is one of Darth's names that he trades, and when he swings something, he's usually spot on with the swing. So he alerted that swing, and then the whales got in with $16 million in puts on Apple. So I'm not going to say Darth knew that, but he's got a really good eye for Apple. He trades it quite frequently, so he's the king on Apple, and I kind of follow his lead. But this weekly candle is pretty bullish. A rumor of an Apple event coming in January. Interesting serious profit. I didn't know about that, so I'll take a look into that. But that's what I got on Apple. The weekly candle looks bullish, but the flow is pretty bearish. So again, I'm going to react, not predict, because I don't know if it's going up or down. If I did, I would have mortgaged my house and bought calls or puts on that. I don't know where it's going. We're going to play the price action. Last name I forgot to mention to you guys is Tesla. I love this name. We killed it in December on this name. We got a dead cat bounce, but this is a name that I really, 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 really like. This is the weekly. This is absolutely disgusting on the weekly. This name is just absolutely horrid right now. This is kind of a head and shoulders. We got the head, right shoulder, left shoulder, and we had some area here of basically some consolidation that I said if we broke that 155 spot, right, we pushed all the way up to 300. I said if we broke 155, it was going to be a massive move down. So we broke 155 and we went all the way down to 104. Now, if you guys are on Twitter, you saw that I had a tweet out there that basically said if we lose 108.80, the floodgates open. And this is the name I'm talking about. Right, here's the level specifically that I'm looking at on Tesla. When this level gives, the floodgates absolutely pour open on Tesla. Because remember, right, we saw when we get a candle close under this, a 15-minute candle close. This was, wick down, flashed all the way back up on a 15-minute chart, right? So in 15 minutes, we went from 108.25 all the way up to 116. When we lose 108.80, 104 comes next very, very quick. The reason 104 is marked is because it's a pre-market low that hit the other day on Tesla. Sorry if I just said Netflix, I meant Tesla. When we lose this 108.80, the floodgates absolutely open up and we will short it. And it'll be one of the easiest shorts you guys take. When we short from this level here, we will take this all the way down to 104.22. Another bold prediction going into Q1 2023. I don't know when that's going to come. Might not even come in Q1. Tesla might just absolutely keep going, right? Because Tesla ended at 123 after hours, 123.48. So depending on where we open, this is a name that this could continue to go up. I have no idea. But what I do know is that on Friday, one of you guys in the room was talking about Hopium and Tesla and holding. This is a big area of consolidation. This was a supply zone. Bounced, rejected, pushed through, support, right? Okay, so support, resistance, push through, now support. SRS. That's a support, resistance, flip back to support. That's how you want to see support and resistance work. And that's when you know that these levels are really, really good levels to use. So for me, this level specifically is 121, right? We held 121. We basically, let me say that again. 121 to 122.26. We held it, demand, rejected supply, pushed through it, holding it as demand. So for me, if we hold this as demand again, the next level to the upside I see is 124.43. And a lot of you guys ask, how do you play breakouts, right? There was one person in the room who was in Tesla during this time and kept asking, should I get calls? Should I get calls again? Remember, we did take Tesla. It bounced out of demand, and we took it for 30% here. And then I stopped out on the rest on Friday. Only got 30%. Wasn't anything crazy, but I did lock in to make sure that it was a green trade for me. I always make sure that my trades are green if they flash that kind of percentage. 30% is massive. The QQQ lost 30% last year, and Tesla went 30% green for us on one trade. So remember that when you guys are holding and being greedy and looking for 50, 70, 80, 90, 100%. You guys asked me how I play breakouts. Here's a great example, right? We break out over 122.26. We come back down on the 15-minute chart, and the low on this is 122.33, right? So 7 cents off the breakout level. You buy that spot, or you wait here, right? And it dips back down 122.70. 122.20. So right around that spot, 122.20. It wasn't that big of a drop, and then boom, end of day run, right? We pop all the way to 123.30. So this is, I'm not saying this is a trade that you should have taken at the end of the day. I'm just showing you how to play these levels. Break through a level, come back and retest it. Because like I said, you're looking for that support resistance flip, right? Held it. Support, support, support. Oh, broke it. Resistance, resistance. Bam. We broke through resistance, held it as support, and then we go. And that, at the core of it, fundamentally, that's what you're looking for in trading. Support and resistance. If you guys can learn support and resistance, you can be very, very successful traders. Tesla was 15K short on deliveries, but 40% increase in sales year over year. Yeah, but I think a lot of those sales came beginning of year serious profit. So I think that'll be something that the street's going to have to take a look at and determine on whether or not, that's going to play into the valuation. And if traders or investors, how they're going to like that. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Tesla. I think Tesla still has a lot of room down. I called it on Twitter. I wasn't, I was very public about it. Tesla, I think, sees single digits in Q1. Not single, double digits in Q1. Single digits would be wild. If we get another push up here to 125 and we reject, I might consider opening a short swing position on Tesla. Okay, because last time we rejected this level, when we came down through it, we tried to push up again, we rejected it, we fell all the way down to 108 and 104 in pre-market. So again, if we can't break 124.50 to 125, if we get a push up here, I might swing some Tesla short with a stop being above 125. This is just an idea. I'm throwing that out there. I'm not saying I'm going to do this, but I'm letting you guys know this is something that I'm looking at. Because we actually have room up to 128. So what I might do is start, if we pop up here, I might start grabbing some. And if we pop up some more, I might grab a little more. But with my risk being that 128 spot, over 128, I might cut it. Of course, I'll lay this out for you guys on the verified floor when I take this. But I just wanted to get you guys, acclimated to what I'm thinking on with Tesla here. It's been so easy to short. We did have a dead cat bounce off of that 104 spot in pre-market and 108 during regular trading hours. Bounced all the way up. We gapped up. But there could be some negative news coming. I'd like to see what the yeah, exactly, right. With the 2 new factories, seems like the demand is potentially weak. Similar with Apple, it just seems like they have some bearish headlines coming. So I don't want to get caught on either side of this. I just wanted to give you guys my thesis and my thought that, if we reject this 124.50, 125 spot, this could be a really, really nice short back down. We could call it local top at 124, 125, somewhere in there. And then if we buy here, right, our first target to sell, we might scale some here in this supply zone, which would now be demand because we bounced here before. If we lose it, we might look to sell some at this 118.80 spot because that's a big level, right? We held this here for a number of hours on the 15-minute chart, a couple hours. We held this here. And if we lose 118.80, next spot I'm looking for is 114.11. If we lose that, it's 111.81. If we lose that, it's 109. And like I said, if we lose that, it's 108.80. And if we lose that, we're going right to 100. We're going to go to double digits. So being able to buy puts up here and watch this ride all the way back down could be a really, really, really nice trade. We'll keep that on watch. I'll keep you guys updated on what I do here, but Tesla is a very, very interesting name to me going into 2023. We played it very, 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 very well in 2022. So for me, going into 23, my top watches are going to be Netflix and Tesla. We will keep an eye on that meta flag that's happening on the daily and weekly time frame. But I've traded Netflix really, really well. I've traded Tesla really, really well. These are the 2 names that for me personally I'd like to stick to because I've traded them well, and I'm going to keep doing that until it doesn't work anymore. You guys will hear me say all the time, use and abuse a system until it doesn't work anymore, whatever that system is. hard to tell where Tesla's going to open tomorrow. I'm not sure. But if it does open at 110, right, we have levels to play around it. We're not interested in Tesla at 110. We're interested in Tesla at 109 and 111.81. Whether or not we buy calls or puts is going to be dependent on what price action tells us to do around those levels. But that's all I got for you guys this evening. I'll spend some few minutes now with questions, but I wanted to make sure I gave you guys a full hour on the Sunday scam, which is now Monday. Kind of recapping 2022, gave you a little bit of a psych pep talk, what I want to see you guys do in 2023, and then wanted to go over some plays that I'm looking for going into the first week of 2023. If you have questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat or drop them in Discord chat, and I'll be happy to pick them up for you. Let's go over into Discord now and see what we got. Gamble Matt, yeah, exactly. If you're new, telling you stick to a 20% card on smaller accounts. I agree 100%. Just do it. If you mentally can't do it, like if you can't bring yourself to cut, because I know there's some people in chat that I saw that said they'll just hold things to zero. Please, for the love of God, when you get into a trade, just set a 20% stop loss. Just set it. And there's going to be times, listen, I'll be the first to tell you, there's going to be times when your stop loss gets hit at negative 20%, and then that thing rips. Think about all the people at the end of the day on, here, let's pull up SPY real quick. Think about all the people at end of day, right, who had calls, because I know some of you did. Some of you had calls and you got stopped out, right? Here's a 15-minute chart, right? What if you got stopped out on this 15-minute candle that closed back down on this level? Because as a trader, right, this is a key level for us, 380.40, right? So the candle closed at 380.31. If you're using 380.40 as your key level and you stop out and then it rips, what do you know, the new trader is going to be super, super upset, super aggravated, super, you know, man, I stopped out and I could have made X amount of money. No successful trader will ever have that mentality with you. I promise you guys. You'll never hear successful traders say, man, I could have made all that money. That's not how they do it. Because they stuck to their rules, right? So stick to your rules, and I promise you guys, so much money will be made. Love it, Matt. Love all those levels, all the notes. That's great. The big thing I see in there is, yeah, do not buy the first breakout. Don't buy the first breakout because it could be a fake out, right? Should get that man on a shirt. First breakout could be the fake out. Especially with these levels. You guys have seen how well these levels are respected, right? First breakout, and then it comes down and holds, right? So just make sure you guys, here's a good example on a 15-minute chart. Let's look at one real quick, okay? Broke down through this level. We wicked down under, close above. Wicked down under, close above. Candle closed down under, and we never got to retest that level. We just kept falling. And then what happened? Bounce. Oh, look, we're coming back to this level, right? 380.40. And we just wicked all the way up to 380.24. So we were 16 cents away from that level. We could have taken call puts right here with the risk being 380.40, right? A 16-cent risk on a 0-day contract moving 16 cents. You're probably risking 10% at most, maybe not even 10%, 5 to 10%. You could have bought puts here. And what happens? All the way back down to local lows. 380, 376, right? Now this would be a swing, right? At the end of day though, is here. So you could have bought here. This is 115 on the 15-minute chart. Yeah, I think that's right. 115. Yeah. 2. And it closed all the way down here. Is this a... No, it's the same day. Sorry, it's not a swing. Same day. You could have bought at 380 here with your risk being right there and closed at 376. Sniper M, no, pre-market and after hours market data, they are important for charting. But for me on the bigger level timeframes, there's not a lot of volume in pre-market and after hours. So what I'm looking for is where the meat of the volume is at, where the bulk of the buyers and sellers are, and they're active, right, from 9:30 a.m. Eastern time to 4 p.m. Eastern time, or RTH, regular trading hours. That's where the most significant levels are going to come from. Now, when we get into, let's say tomorrow when we open up, you will see me use pre-market levels. The most basic levels you guys can use for day trading are going to be pre-market high, pre-market low, prior day high, and prior day low. Those 4 levels. If you only have those 4 levels going into a day, you can be a successful trader. What I like to do though is use those levels, the 4 levels I just said, pre-market high, pre-market low, prior day high, prior day low, with these bigger levels and areas of confluence that I know a lot of buyers and sellers are going to be at. As a trader, right, like I said before, we don't know where these stocks are going. We have no idea. Because if we did, we'd all be worth trillions of dollars and we wouldn't be sitting here doing YouTube videos at 10 o'clock at night together, trying to figure out what's going to happen next, right? We would all be rich on our island somewhere. But as a trader, what we try and do is take all of these tools or all of these, different points of measure and put them together to formulate a game plan going into the day. Similar to snipers, right? Snipers don't know when their target's coming out of the building. They don't know what the weather's going to be like, but they have a watchman who's watching. They have someone who's looking at wind. They prepare, they train, and then when it happens, they take it. They just don't know when exactly it's going to happen. Trader, being a trader is no different. Yeah, exactly. 425 fish layer. SPX went 110 to 2K on Friday, and someone got stopped out on SPX when it hit like $1, right? They were in it at like maybe $1.50, came down and hit $1.10. They were like, oh, I got to stop out because this is going to be worth less than $100 now. And then the contract rips from $1.10 to 2K, $2,000, or basically 2,000%. Kind of crazy. QQQ inverse head and shoulder on the hourly. Have a good night, Jason. Have a good night. Look at QQQ real quick, and then we'll drop off here, and I'm going to get ready for bed myself. Maybe have one more nightcap. Get some levels done up for you guys, because we've got a big week ahead of us. Everyone's P&L starts fresh tomorrow. Eric, QQQ at inverse head and shoulders on the hourly. I'm assuming what you're looking at, Eric, here is we have a head, shoulder. I think that's what you're looking at. Oh, thanks for joining. I appreciate you being on here. I think what you're looking at, Eric, is basically a break over this level. Basically, it's 265.35. If we break this spot, we got room to the upside on QQQ, which I think is true, and I think the upside level I have on QQQ is going to be that 272 spot. That's what I'm looking for on an upside break. This chart isn't as clean to me, though, as looking at something like SPY on the hourly. So, and to be completely frank with you, I'm not a big QQQ trader, unless it's maybe the smoothest name on the day. But typically, if QQQ is smooth, SPY is going to be smooth with it. Yeah, it's clean on the hourly. It's clean for a break there, but there's also a lot of chop. What could happen here, though, on the hourly, which is nice, which might be actually a really cool setup, right? Support back here on the 20th, and we've rejected it basically ever since then. This 267.50 spot, I'd say. So if we reject it again, we could head back down to 259. Actually, good eye on that, Eric. What I'm going to do is put that level here. Like I said, I'm not a big QQQ trader. I'm going to put the level put it at 44. What I'm going to do is put a price alert for price above. Sorry, you guys got to watch me do this again. I wish there was a way I could delete all these real quick. I'm going to put a price above. Let's do 267.25. There we go. So now my Webull will tell me when we pop over that 267.25 spot. And then I'll know that, we could see a move up. And actually, let me flip that. I'm going to do 267 instead of 267.25. Because QQQ can move quick. Appreciate the looks on that, Eric. Amazon Weekly is an interesting spot. Amazon's been beaten down. I won't go over Amazon, but that one is. we'll look at it real quick. That'll be my last one. Amazon is beaten down. Yeah. Interesting spot on Amazon. This is what I've charted this so I know, but I guess, good point here, Henry. One thing I don't have on here is the level. So let's make a level. This level I have here is 81.48. I'm going to make a level on Amazon at price below. Let's turn it on first. Delete. Price below 81.75. Because then I know we're approaching a pretty low spot. There we go. So now my Weeble will tell me when we come down to that level, I'll know. If we break this level, I think this will be a really nice swing, right? Because look, when we broke through this level before, we broke through it and we went all the way up to 98, all the way up to 100. Came down and retested it. Look what happened last time we retested this 81.50 spot. All the way back up to 122. All the way back up here to 160, right? Basically 100% move. Similar to Tesla, right? How we saw Tesla, when Tesla came down to that 150 spot, 155 spot, it bounced all the way to 155. Same thing happened to Amazon. 81.50, all the way back up, basically 100% to 161. So, just like when Tesla broke that 155 spot to the downside where it bounced to 300 before, Amazon, if we lose this 81.50 spot, similar to how Tesla did when it lost that 155 spot that it bounced 100% from, we went from 155 all the way down to 100, right? Similarly speaking here, if we lose this 84 level or 81.50 spot on Amazon, we potentially could see a massive move back down to that area of supply, which is at 65.48, the prior bounce spot. That's an interesting play. I really like this one, actually. So Amazon's a really nice setup, too. That could be on earnings, 425 fish layer, but this is a weekly chart. So understand that this bounced from March of 2020, like COVID low bounce, right, all the way up to July of 2020, basically hit 163. What I'm trying to say is this is a really key level, 81.50. And if we lose it, I think the next biggest key level that's going to come is 65.48. All right, guys. That's all I got for you this evening. I'll make sure that we get these posted tomorrow morning for you guys prior to the pre-market huddle at 9:15. Darth won't be with us for a couple weeks. He is out sailing the Bahamas right now. He had a pre-planned trip that he planned last year, so he's going to be in the Bahamas. But B Trades is back with us tomorrow. I'm sure he'll have the no-fly zones, quote-unquote, if you will, for SPY tomorrow, where we won't be trading SPY. But I'll be on live with you guys tomorrow during the morning session. B Trades will be on as well, and then we might have some other moderators on as well. Gorilla Champ might be on. Melon and Judicus might come on as well to join us on live trading. So that's all I got for you guys this evening. I hope the Sunday scans are valuable for you guys. If you guys aren't getting value from these, please let us know in the suggestions channel. If you want us to cover something prior to the Sunday scan next week, make sure you drop it in Premium Concierge and tag myself and B Trades. Since Darth will be out again next week, tag myself and B Trades, and we'll try to cover it. But again, at the end of the day, I want you guys to get value from everything that we do. So if you're not getting the value, please let us know. I made a thread about this earlier on Twitter. I just don't like seeing a lot of people throw a lot of money at different Discords and not getting value for it. Some people are paying, $1, $2, $3, $4, $500 a month, and I think that's crazy. I also think it's crazy when people raise their prices because Discords are typically not a variable cost business, right? So the more people you get, it's not like your costs are going up. So if people are increasing prices on you, if people are not, giving you value, please consider what you're doing in that Discord. And if you're actually learning, and if you are learning and you're getting more value when prices increase, that's great. More power to you. But I made a commitment to make sure that we're giving you guys the utmost value that we can. And I want to make sure that we hold that true. So let me know if there's anything I can do for you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow at 9:15. Until then, I might be hanging out over in the Moneyline Lounge for a little bit this evening, but without further ado, I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a good night. Thank you.